One of the challenges us words today. All right, it's gonna be one of those days. Holy Spirit, I invite you into this room to help me reclaim and rediscover my purpose because it's been too long that I've been silent and stuck trying to be the image or the idea or the snapshot of something that I'm just not. And I surrender all of that rush and all of that clinging up to you. I just saw an album from Central C that's dropping in like a week on January 24th. Not that I listen to Central C, but I was just scrolling through my Spotify and it popped up. And on the page, he put some note back in like 5 years ago, like in September, and it said, "You can't rush greatness." And that's like his whole album theme and everything. And I think that's so cool because it's absolutely true. Like, when you're in a rush to become that, you kind of lose sight of like your purpose entirely. And I don't think purpose is something you can just like magically conquer overnight. It takes time. My skin's like super puffy today because I'm having allergic reactions and I think I'm just overstimulated. I don't know. I really feel like crap right now. So we're just gonna do a typical Juggernaut mode day, and it's gonna be great. Yeah, gotta get the run in, doing mobility. I really haven't done like anything today. I've just been feeling like crap, and I don't like it. So I think it's time to hit a little reset button and take back the fire because you can't let anyone steal it. The enemy will try to steal your fire. Like, it'll try to steal your purpose. That drive inside of you that says like, my life matters. There's a reason to get up every morning. And I didn't get up this morning. I didn't get up. I was supposed to be up at like 4 a.m. I woke up at like 8. And part of that is like, yeah, my body's battling something and I was exhausted and I could feel that. But the other part of it is like, it's also spiritual for me and psychological, and everything is spiritual. So like, when I say something psychological and then you're like, oh, because it's of your conditioning and it's because of this, but then you come back into the present moment and the only thing in your present moment is your spirit, it's your consciousness, it's your, like, it's you, it's your mind, not even your mind, it's your like awareness, and that's all you really have. The body, the thoughts, the mind, the things, the stuff, even time, all of those things they're like the wind. They just slip through your fingertips. You can't hold on to them. And if you do live your life grasping for them, it won't get you very far. Ugh. Or, I mean, it might get you far in terms of the world's materialism, but it's not necessarily going to get you like what you want. Yeah, and so I'm just sitting here right now and I'm like feeling pretty useless, Feeling pretty fat, sluggish, unmotivated. It's one of those days. It's a good test day. And those are the best days, man. When you get those days, you got to rejoice. And that's why the Bible says we rejoice in suffering, because the testing of your faith produces perseverance, and perseverance produces steadfastness, and steadfastness is what allows you to see the fruit of your faith. It's what allows you to stay through the process to actually achieve greatness, because greatness doesn't happen overnight. It happens over the course of years. So steadfastness is what produces. It's what is the actual thing that's going to keep you in the game over the long term. Like, you could call it steadfastness, you could just say consistency. So suffering produces perseverance, and perseverance is what gives you the consistency. And when you got consistency, you get to see the fruit of all of your work. Because if you're not consistent, man, you can't actually see what you get to do. Your work does not get to come to fruition, because nothing happens with inconsistency. If you're not consistent, you're guaranteed failure. If you're consistent, you're not necessarily guaranteed success, but it's your absolute best shot at getting anywhere. But if you do nothing, or if you don't show up, you're guaranteed nothing. So that's why suffering is such a gift, because if we didn't intentionally chase suffering every day, if we didn't find like meaningful suffering, if we didn't find a way of callousing our minds and forcing ourselves to just do something hard that we don't want to do, we would not be able to last through the whole process, because the process is just like long, and it gets boring, and it gets repetitive. The thing that changes is your mind. The thing that changes is that thing inside of your head, the perseverance. It's like a muscle. And I think a lot of us haven't developed our muscle, like our mental muscle, our mental hardware, to the point where it can actually deal with that stuff. And I'm speaking for myself. I'm not preaching at you. This is just my reality right now. Like, even, it only takes like a few bad days for me to feel like really bad about myself. And that's just not sufficient for the goals. That level of discipline is not sufficient for the dream. That's it. So like, there's a level of consistency that is required for your calling. And you're not going to get to feel or experience or even get to like fully see that calling and actually understand what it is that is your purpose, right? I say calling, you could say your purpose, you could say your drive, like the meaning in life. That stuff is found on the other side of the consistency, on the other side of just that like boring, what seems to be meaningless grind. But that is actually where you find the good stuff. So I didn't mean to give a whole rant this morning, but I just wanted to be real with you. And I feel like recently I've been kind of like just going through the motions, and the content has been feeling like I've been feeling a little bit spiritually disengaged from it, and just not being like 100% real. And I think a lot of that just has to do with me like hiding behind appearances and trying to I don't even know, man. I'm just putting barriers in between myself and the process, and myself and the people that I want to reach, because there's like just layers inside of my head that keep me from feeling like speaking up and showing up and making something that actually helps people. And like I avoid doing that because I just feel like bad about myself, which is a really stupid reason for not doing something, because like it's selfish to prioritize your feelings over the service of others. And it's also shortcutting your own success, because success only comes through when you actually integrate and add value to others. So when you integrate into society and you learn how to be a leader, and you, by the way, leaders literally just take care of people better than most people. Like, when you get to that, that's when you can actually experience that. And so like the whole concept of I don't feel like it, so I like, this makes me feel uncomfortable, or, I just don't feel like doing it today, or I just feel, not enough. That's like that is like the worst excuse you could possibly give yourself, because at the end of the day, you just have to, like, it's about outcomes. It's not about feelings all the time. And the only way that you get to the outcome is just pushing through the feeling. And that's the suffering, is like, this sucks, but I'm going to do it anyways. And you have to find that for yourself. And one of the games that we do in Righteous Grind is every week we have a meaningful violence, or a stress threshold testing training, whatever you want to call it. It's stress capacity conditioning. And essentially what you do is you take a normal stimulus that you would normally do, whether that's a run or a cold exposure, or a workout, and you're just going to push it to the absolute max. Not necessarily every single part of it, but you're going to take a little chunk of it, and you're going to push beyond your natural capacity, and then you're going to actually dilate and relax into that. And it's really cool. So it works best with doing things like sprints. It's probably not as smart to do with like heavyweight training. If you're going to do it with training, I would suggest doing a higher rep range versus doing something like low rep and like super high intensity, just because you're increasing your chance of injury. And the goal is not to get injured. The goal is to expand your mind. Yes, as a byproduct, you will get to see physical transformation, but the actual process is for your mind. And by doing that work, that like uncomfortable work, you're going to expand your mind. So I know I need to get that in this weekend. My plan is to do it with my boy George, hopefully, because I think he's coming over today. And yeah, man, I really just got to lock in. Like, there's so much good stuff that you can't see coming, but that's right there. Like, there's opportunity, there's learning, there's knowledge, there's that drive is something you can tap into, but sometimes you just have to force it. Like, you just have to just go through the motions and do the thing anyways, and do the workout anyways, and take out your earbuds and just sit in silence and just feel the discomfort. Because it's only in fully accepting that discomfort or that pain or struggle or fear that you actually get to uncover what it is that you truly are. And that's where you get to find truth. That's where you find meaning. That's where you find God, is when you are fully surrendering your comfort, your control, and you're fully embracing that weakness. And that's where God fills you. That's where God moves inside of you. That's where God gets to actually go deeper in you. God can only go deeper in you when you have nothing left. If you're trying to hold it all together and your hands are full, there's no room for God to move. But if you are empty, if you put yourself into a position where you have nothing left, whether that's your workout or that's the run's a really good one. Just go for a super long run. Like, whatever distance you haven't done, add a mile or 2 or 3. You don't necessarily need to like triple your distance, but I would highly recommend doing something significantly beyond your comfort zone, say 15 to 20% beyond, and do that today, whether that's a speed thing or a duration or a distance thing. Find that way to get yourself into that position of like, I've got nothing, and in there, you'll actually find that real energy. And that's where my spark for life comes from. I don't necessarily get the spark for life in like the daily comfort. And that's kind of why I'm like, I guess that's why I'm feeling pretty crappy today, is even just waking up late, even though I like needed to sleep in because my body's facing a sickness or whatever. It just doesn't work for me, bro. It just doesn't work. So we need to get after it. I'm going to peace out here. I don't know why I recorded this, but I just need to be real with you. So, yeah, I'm going to get this workout in, and I'm probably going to film that separately just because, whatever. But if this served you, you should check out the community. The 4 a.m. club is coming on soon. So if you want morning wake-up accountability, that's your place to go. Other than that, I'll be peacing out. All right, just grind.